glioblastoma multiforme, the most aggressive type of cancer that begins with the brain, most often in the frontal and temporal lobes. This dismal disease, dreaded and dismal disease, impacted my family. We muddled our way through diagnosis, treatment, and end-of-life care, knowing that difficult circumstances require grit and grace. I have a lot of strong women in my family. My aunt and my mother are just two of them. In early May 2020, these two would embark upon a journey that none of us would ever expect they would take. So this dismal day in May, my mother had decided she was going to go down to my aunt's. We had the announcement. My aunt's youngest daughter was finally going to get married. We were all excited. My mother needed to go to their house to help prepare their yard. As my mom loves all growing things, it is her desire to be able to make things beautiful, and this included my aunt and my uncle's yard. This home that my aunt and uncle had built, they had built with grit and determination by their own two hands. And my mother was going to help beautify this yard in preparation for the wedding of their youngest daughter. This day in May, my mother had decided to come down anyway. It was raining. What on earth can you get done when you're digging in the earth, when it's gray and rainy? But it had to get done. So my mom came down. Anyway, and she found my aunt on the steps to her second floor. My mother could not get my aunt off the steps safely. So she went to a neighbor who gracefully came and assisted my mother getting my aunt safely off of those steps and get her dressed. The rest of the day was filled with anxious calls and doctor's visits, emergency room visits, culminating in a hospital stay. My aunt had a mass in her brain. This was during COVID, it was May 2020. And so you were not allowed to have visitors. So we set up a Facebook group to be able to communicate. When we found out, the 29th of May, the day that changed our world forever, the diagnosis, it took the wind out of our sails. The diagnosis, glioblastoma multiforme. So what do you do with a difficult diagnosis? You carry on with as much grit and determination as you can. It's the only thing you can do. This thing, this silent, invisible enemy, it's a specter that's there always. It doesn't go away. It's with you. It's inside of you. So what do? You carry on. And you determine to master this thing. You are going to get over this. You are going to get through this by grit and grace. You will get through this. So the first course of treatment for my aunt was the tumor removal. This was exciting news. We had heard that 95% of her tumor had been removed. This was great, 95%. The thing we didn't know at the time is that that visible tumor is only the tip of the iceberg. And so underneath of this visible tumor, which we got 95% of initially, it grows in a vague and migratory fashion, just kind of invading other parts. So the tumor has been removed. You move on to chemo and radiation. And there was a lot of that. You have to have grace as you're going through these dizzying arrays of appointments. And you have appointments for yourself. You have appointments for your pets. And you have appointments for appointments. So you need grace because sometimes you forget things. And you may have to reschedule a pet appointment or two. And you may have had a lunch with someone. That's okay. You reschedule. You do the things you can on the days you can. The days that are so a little bit harder, that grace carries through and you reschedule. So my aunt had went through a few of these chemo radiation treatments, nothing slowed. Went through a few medical trials, and my aunt described it to me like her disease was a gas pedal stuck to the floor. With glioblastoma, these cancers can grow 1.4% in a single day. They can double in size in a mere 7 weeks. This is the most deadliest of cancers, a very difficult diagnosis. My mother became my aunt's primary caregiver. So with grit and grace, my mother poured her life into my aunt's as only an older sister can. So we're going through and we're getting this wedding ready. The mother's dress has been purchased. And the silent fear, is she going to be able to wear this dress? Yes, she was able to wear the dress. She was able to make it to her youngest daughter's wedding. That was the victory in this case. You see, my aunt passed away a mere 14 months after diagnosis, but she completed her journey with grit and grace, surrounded by love.